Hello everyone. Welcome to Karnataka LMS, Namma Shakti, Namma Bhavishya, Department of Collegiate and Technical Education. This is video regard to the subject of organizational behavior for the management student. I'm Ranjita Bia. I'm presenting the topic on classical and reinforcement learning. So what is classical and reinforcement learning? First, we'll understand what is the reinforcement. Reinforcement as a theoretical concept in psychology can be traced back to Russian psychologist Ivan P. Pavlov and American psychologist Edward, who both studied conditioning and learning in animals in the early 90s. Pavlov developed the general procedures and terminology for studying what is now called classical conditioning. This term refers to both the experimental procedure and the type of learning that occurs within that procedure. Classical conditioning is the association of one event with another desired event, resulting in a behavior. The most well-known experiment on classical conditioning is by the Ivan, who won the Nobel Prize for his experiment on this subject. Pavlov conducted an experiment on dogs and tried to establish a stimulus-response connection. He tried to relate the dog's salivation and the ringing of the bell. In his experiment, he put some meat in front of the dogs. The dogs responded to this stimulus by salivating. This response was instinctive or unconditioned. The scientist next began to ring a bell at the same time as the meat was presented. Ringing the bell in itself without the presentation of meat was not connected to any response, but by ringing the bell at the same time as presentation of meat, Pavlov established a relationship between the two stimuli, the bell and the meat, in the mind of the dogs. By continuing this process, the ringing of bell alone was sufficient stimulus to elicit a response by salivating, even when no meat was presented. Thus, the bell became a conditioned stimulus, resulting in conditioned or learned response. In an organization setting, we can see classical conditioning operating. For example, at one manufacturing plant, every time the top executive from the head office would make a visit, the plant management would clean up the administrative office and wash the windows. This went on for years. Eventually, employees would turn on their best behavior and look prim and proper whenever the windows were clean, even on those occasions when the cleaning was not paid with a visit from the top administration. People had learned to associate the cleaning of the windows with a visit from the head office. So classical conditioning represents only a very small part of total human learning. So it has a limited value in the study of organizational behavior. Classical conditioning plays only a passive role. We will react to a particular way only if something happens. But in reality, the behavior of people in organization is voluntary rather than being reflexive. Their behavior is not elicited in response to a specific identifiable event, but it is generally emitted. The learning of complex behavior can be better understood by looking at operant conditioning. So Paulo experiment, there's giving a hungry dog dry meat powder every minute. The representation of the meat powder was consistently paired with a bell tone. The meat powder made the dog salivate, and after a few experimental trials, the bell tone alone was enough to elicit salivation. So during unconditioning, in this stage, the unconditioned stimulus produces an unconditioned response in an organism. In basic terms, this means that a stimulus in the environment has produced a behavior or response which is unlearned, that is unconditioned, and therefore is a natural response which has not been taught. In this respect, no new behavior has been learned yet. For example, a perfume, that is unconditional stimulus, could create a response of happiness or desire, that is unconditioned response. During conditioning, during this stage, a stimulus which produces no response, that is neutral, is associated with the unconditioned stimulus, at which point it now becomes known as conditioned stimulus. For example, perfume, unconditioned stimulus, might be associated with the specific person, that conditioned stimulus. After conditioning, now the conditioned stimulus has been associated with the unconditioned stimulus to create a new conditioned response. For example, a person conditioned stimulus who has been associated with a nice perfume now found attractive. So in the classical conditioning in the classroom, the implications of classical conditioning in the classroom are less important than those of operant conditioning. But there is a still need for teachers to try to make sure that students associate positive emotional experiences with learning. If a student associates negative emotional experiences with school, then this can obviously have bad results, such as creating a school phobia. For example, if students is bullied at school, they may learn to associate the school with fear. It could also explain why some students show a particular dislike of certain subject that continue throughout their academic career. Like, for example, the subject of English. Majority of our rural students dislike this subject, English language, because the fear. The English subject is associated with fear. So throughout their academic year, they haunt that subject, haunt them. So this could happen if a student is humiliated or punished or scored less marks in a class. So by this, I end this session. Thank you for watching.